Hello, I am going to show you today how to bake a loaf of whole wheat bread that doesn't include bread flour. And there are a lot of videos out there about baking whole wheat bread, but some of the videos also include bread flour. What I want to show you is 100% whole wheat bread that is going to come out great and be soft and not a dense loaf. And that's the reason that you see people having to use bread flour, because it has sufficient gluten for it to rise and make a large loaf. So they usually cheat a little bit and put some bread flour in there. And that's fine if that's what you want to do. Sometimes I do that too because it's easy. But if you want to make a whole wheat loaf of bread, 100% whole wheat flour, then you've got to do a couple of special things for it to be a good sized loaf. And so the loaf is finished. The beeper's gone off, and I'm going to take that out now. And what you want to do is use 2 hot pads. And let me turn off this timer. Hang on one second. All right. I use the oven timer as a backup because the alarm on some of these bread machines is very faint. And I've owned dozens of bread machines and cooked hundreds of loaves of bread in them. And so what you're seeing is a recipe that I've developed. It's not going to be in any book. It's just over time I've got a recipe that always works. So we're going to pull this out. This is a 1 pound loaf, and it's in a 2 pound machine, so it's going to be a little bit smaller than you might think, but just imagine it's going to be twice as big in a 2 pound machine, or 1.5 pound loaf, it'll be, another third in size. So let's see what it looks like here. And I'm going to use my can opener, which I recommend for you. You get the handle up, this one twists out, and I'm going to put the loaf on the cooling rack. And this is a 1 pound loaf of whole wheat bread. And a 2 pound loaf would be twice as big. But the reason I wanted to do a 1 pound loaf is there are a lot of machines out there that only make 1 pound. And I know that you bakers out there can just double the ingredients to get a 2 pound loaf, or you just take the ingredients and take them up 1.5 times. So here is the recipe for a 1 pound loaf of whole wheat bread. All right, let's go down here and look at the ingredients. The first thing you're going to put in the pan is the liquids. And now I'm including the liquids. I'm not showing it here, but you're going to put 1 egg in your Pyrex dish after you have brought it essentially to room temperature by putting it in a bowl of water that's about 80 degrees, something like that. And let that little egg sit there about 15 minutes, and then come back and you crack the egg and put it in here, and you put warm water, also about 80 degrees, just put it in the microwave, and you'll be able to get it up to about 80 degrees. Put the water about 30 seconds or something like that, but use a little thermometer and get the water to be 80 degrees, and you're going to put in a total. So the egg is in here, then you add the liquid, and it's going to be 3/4 of a cup, okay? And then you put into the pan, after the liquid, you put 1.5 tablespoons of sugar, 2 tablespoons of oil, and you can use whatever you want. People get, worked up about what you use. Some people use butter. Some people use safflower oil. You can use corn oil. You can use olive oil. Whatever you prefer, you can use. So don't get hung up on that. You use whatever you like. And it's in the recipe. It's just the source of fat, but you need some in there. So it's going to be either oil or butter or whatever. Then you do a half a teaspoon of salt. And for a 1 pound recipe, 2 cups of whole wheat flour. I find this to be a pretty good brand. This is, I think it's Uncle Bob's. Anyway, it's organic flour, but just make sure you get 100% whole wheat flour. And then the last thing you put in is your yeast. And you're gonna put in 1.5 teaspoons of yeast. And so again, this is for a 1 pound loaf. And so if you want to make a 2 pound loaf, just double all those ingredients. So that's how you make a 1 pound loaf of whole wheat bread that's going to come out the right size. It's going to be light. It's not going to be dense and chewy and small. It's going to be the correct size. Okay? So there you go. Thanks, and subscribe and check back often.